Hey guys, it's Liz, and we're back for another episode of Magic Monday. We do this every Monday at 11:11 a.m. PST. We are talking today with real estate expert Bryan Casella, a good friend of mine, and this is actually not his first time on this show, but I've decided to bring him back because this is something that I know a lot of people would love to know how to do. How do you generate passive income streams online? How do you use video to increase your influence and get your message out there so you can impact more people? So I'm going to get him on here in a little bit, but I also have a quick announcement, whether you're watching the replay or catching this live. Just so you know, next Monday we are starting our next Rank and Bank Masterclass to teach you YouTube SEO and content strategy. What's up, Bryan? Go ahead and hit the little green plus button and I'll get you on here. So if you're interested in joining that or learning more about that, it's vidfluencepros.com/masterclass. Okay, and I'll also drop the link in the comments below for you guys. So if you're just tuning in, what's up, Charles? What's up, David? What's up, David Palmer? OG up in the house, astrology genius. Emily's here. We got Bryan coming on the scene real quick. So awesome. I was just on Jeremy's podcast last week. Hello, my dear.
Liz, what's going on, dear? How are you?
I'm really good. How are you? I see you're sitting in your new house.
Loving life, doing big things, pushing the limits, the normal stuff that I do.
Yeah, I love this new backdrop for you. This is like so fitting and it's so representative of what we're going to be talking about today, which is brand imaging and really showing up professionally if you want to define yourself as an expert. So Bryan, why don't you give them, you've been on the show before, but I want you to give them a quick little intro for anybody who didn't catch your last episode. If you didn't, you can find it in my old videos. I had you on here a couple months ago talking about how you bought your first Lamborghini and you went from basically broke to self-made millionaire within a 4-year period. So I want to hear a little bit more about you and who you are and what you can help with today.
Cool. What's up, everybody? Bryan Casella. Everybody calls me BC. That's my new branding, pretty much gimmicky thing, right? That's my initials, and one of my friends called me that years ago, and I said, why not grab it and run with it? I've been doing real estate now for about 4.5 years. I have a team. I've been doing a lot of stuff on YouTube. I'm traveling and speaking. I just got back from Australia where I spoke with 3 participants of the show $1 Million Listing, LA and New York. This is my second time speaking with them. Considered an influencer now. I do a lot of stuff for salespeople and real estate people online. I sell products. I could keep going on and on, but I took real estate and used that to open doors to create multiple streams of income. I'm a real estate investor. I own 5 properties, so I'm all over the place now.
Cool. I love it. So you're basically like a self-made just genius. And I love everything that you do. And I'm so all about you. You are one of my favorite people. And I think you can really help anyone watching this broadcast today with what does it take with your mindset, because you have a very different way of approaching life. Yeah. And you are always in integrity, whether the camera's on or off. So I want you to talk a little bit about that and like the mindset and how you came up with your brand, how you show up so confidently, not just on camera, but in your entire life. Like what are some of the things that set you apart with that mindset, and how has that helped benefit you and be able to create this wealth and abundance for yourself?
Thank you for that, Liz. And it's something that a lot of people want to almost avoid, right? Every industry you look into, maybe even with you, everyone's like, okay, give me the magic bullet, give me the 1 or 2 things or techniques to do that are going to help me get there. And I realized that people's priorities were a little bit mixed up, right? I looked at all the top people in a lot of categories, even outside of real estate, right? I wanted to take a more broad approach. And I noticed that, when we look at people like Anthony Robbins or people who are really, really at the top, they have like an unbreakable confidence, right? This air about them, this presence, this mindset, you can call it, that you can't duplicate in most other people, right? And I said, okay, there has to be something to this. So I really started studying these people, and I realized that whatever society presented to them, for the most part, they did the opposite, right? Like, for example, we're brought up in school to be a part of the clique, to want to fit in. I noticed all these people did the opposite. They didn't want to fit in. And if I could zoom in now to when I started real estate, that's one of the things I focused on right away. When you look at real estate as a whole, if you're not a part of the industry, what you'll see is people have 2 masks. They have the public mask that they put on, where they pretend to be squeaky clean and the perfect person. And then in private, you know them, and they're either a complete slob or the opposite of what they present. And that was one of my commitments from the beginning. Is I said, look, who I am in private, I'm also going to be in public, right? I'm not going to play this game of having 2 identities. And at first, I got a lot of backlash for it. Oh man, you're cussing. Oh, you're doing this, you're doing that. You can't do it. And I said, you know what? I'm going to start like a revolution where people who are, quote, real will now begin to surface. And the way I'm going to shake it up is by actually being successful, right? I'm going to start with the right, I guess you can say, platform or foundation, and say, you know what, even though my image or what I represent is the opposite of what people will tell you makes you successful, I'm going to work so hard and become a figure that now I'm going to open a door for other people. And I fast forward now, four years later, I'm on panels here speaking in Southern California in real estate, and there's people with, you know, the plugs in their ears hanging all the way down, showing their tattoos, not wearing suits. And when I started 4 years ago, that was unheard of. Everybody looked the same, walked the same, dressed the same, talked the same. And now I'm seeing the shift. And I'm sure you're seeing it on social media and other areas too. So I know in real estate, I kind of opened that door. But the mindset behind it was this. It's time to bring some authenticity back, right? We see everybody doing the same shit over and over online. And you look at them and you're like, man, this guy, there's no way this person is like that off camera, right? They have this completely different persona. And I understand that certain things, of course, you have to play up for the camera or, you know, maybe exaggerate a little bit, but the essence of the person was missing. And I said, I'm going to bring that back, right? I would rather have a lot of people who hate me and a few people who love me than to be loved by the masses by something that I'm not, by representing something that I'm not, if that makes sense.
Totally. Definitely makes sense. So I'm curious, were there any books or programs, any mentorships, any people specifically that stand out to you in really solidifying that? Or is there anything that you, with that mentality, had support in? Books, mentorships, masterminds, anything you've done recently that really stuck with you?
There's a lot that I can say. You know, the one thing I want to bring to light to the audience that you have to understand is, in a lot of areas of your life that you have a certain belief system or philosophy, we were taught incorrectly, meaning the proper individual to teach us that did not teach us or was not present. For example, in my life, I never had a millionaire mentor or uncle or friend to say, hey, Bryan, this is the subject of money, let me teach you, right? I was taught by people who were broke. And then I grew up thinking, okay, this is the way life is in regards to money. And that led me down the wrong path. And when I started making money, I wasn't managing it well and I was spending it like a dummy. So I said, okay, there's something wrong here. So I took a step back and then I started seeking these people in all areas of my life. And if I can name a few books or people, Anthony Robbins for sure. Anthony Robbins was one of the big, you can call masterminds that I started studying. And what I did with these people, and this is a golden nugget I can give the audience, is don't just study the person, right? And listen to their beliefs and philosophies. Study what they studied. That's what I started doing. I started looking at what these top people were studying, whether it was individuals or books or material. And that really is what led me down this path to super self-empowerment, I guess you can say, being able to be my own island, my self-sustaining island, and say, I don't care who comes at me, I can hold my ground and stand my ground. So Anthony Robbins for sure. I really love Jim Rohn. I really love Tom Hopkins, who's like the master salesman, right? Brian Tracy, somebody who I studied a lot. One of my dear friends and mentors that he's not so much involved in what is the typical mindset stuff, but it's a good friend of mine named Arash. He's from San Jose. His image is very polarizing for a lot of people because he has a lot of tattoos and he's pierced, but he's a genius and he has helped me a lot personally in my path as well. So that's somebody who I study and always seek advice from as well. Let's see, who else? In real estate, Mike Ferry. He's one of the oldest real estate coaches. But what I love about him is he's like me in the sense that it's love him or hate him, right? There's no in between. He's very blunt. He's very like, dude, stop complaining, get to work, roll your sleeves up, stop being a little girl, get to work, you know? And I really vibrated with that because even though it went against being PC, like everyone wanted to be, I understood the message, right? So whether you like things about him or not, it resonated with me because in this industry of real estate specifically, everyone's trying to give you the get rich quick scheme or, oh no, make money without working. And I always hated that mentality, right? Maybe it was the way I was brought up, but I said, you know what? I'm okay working a lot in the beginning for only a little bit of a gain because I know in everything else you do, that's the way it is. You don't work out and overnight, you're all ripped and muscular. You don't go on a diet and suddenly you lose weight. You don't join a boxing gym or a martial arts gym and go from white belt to black belt in one day. It takes time, dedication, and this is the last thing I'll leave people is for you to be a teacher or a figure or a brand, first, you must be a master student, meaning if you study Liz, me, or whoever it is, be the best student. By you being the best student, which you'll find every other top person was, you will then be able to be pass down the torch to now be a great teacher. Because if you can't first be a good student or a great student, you're never going to be on the opposite side of it, either living their philosophies and beliefs or you yourself teaching somebody else. And I think that's probably one of the biggest things that is missed is people are like, oh, Liz, teach me everything in 5 minutes, and they think they're going to know everything, when they're probably going to have to study you and your material and your teachings a long time and really dedicate themselves to now be able to transfer it, or just at the very least they themselves apply it like on a really high level.
I love that you said that. That's so true. I always tell people, like, I'm a perpetual student of video influence and marketing, and I'm absolutely 1000% committed to being a master of my craft before I ever go out and share it with the world. And I know you and I actually met at a Tony Robbins seminar, the UPW seminar up in Los Angeles. We met out on the street corner, and I was like, I don't know who you are, but I need to know who you are. So that's like super in alignment with all of that. I have a question for you, because one of the things, I actually just watched one of your YouTube videos too, which by the way, you're almost to 100K. I can see it growing. You're getting like 4,000, 5,000 subscribers a month, and you're just crushing it. You're just putting out epic content. You guys go check out his YouTube channel. It's absolutely incredible, especially if you're in real estate or you're interested in more of these money mindset and investing strategies. But I want to talk real quick, because I was just watching one of your videos, and you mentioned that in the beginning, like when you first started coming across wealth, you first started coming across financial abundance, you would spend it like an idiot, those are your words. You'd spend it all right away like an idiot, and you wouldn't invest it or to put it back into your business or put it back into other properties or whatever. So and then you also talked about where you're at now of having studied wealth mastery and all this other stuff, where you don't spend the money, you reinvest it back in, and you also are working every single day on building more and more passive income for yourself, as well as long-term investments and wealth building strategies. And this is really important to distinguish for anyone who's watching this. The things that you do in the world, of course, money is not the most important thing, but what money equates to in your life is freedom and flexibility, and more of an ability to serve the world on a greater level and to choose more of that freedom in your life. So I want to really quick touch on this, because I think this is really important, Bryan, and I think you have a lot of gold nuggets here to share with people. What did it take from you to go from, oh, I have all this money, I better go spend it like crazy, to what are some of the passive income streams that you've now built for yourself, and how did you get yourself to shift out of that mindset of like, I have money, yeah, I get to go party and spend it and like do whatever I want for a while? What helped you get from the short-term gain to the long-term strategy of true freedom and abundance? And the follow-up question was, what are the passive income streams that you are creating or have created to help yourself do that?
Cool. Great question, Liz. The first thing I did, and I referred to this earlier in this interview, was Bruce Lee calls it emptying your cup, right? I understood that there was things that I thought were the right thoughts or modes of action, but they were incorrect. And until people really start taking that time to analyze that and break it down, you are living without even realizing it. I call it, you're just floating along. You're living unconsciously, right? You have to now take a moment and say, okay, what are my beliefs about this subject? Money, right? The first thought that popped into my head was money is the root of all evil. So is it possible for me to be a multimillionaire or billionaire thinking the money is the root of all evil? No, that's just a belief that was indoctrinated into me by my family, right? And bless them, but none of them ever had money. Most of them are still in South America and they're factory workers, right? That's just the reality of it. So with that mindset, I'm never going to be wealthy, or if I get money, I'm going to get rid of it. Like all the people you hear about winning the lottery, and then a year later, they won $100 million and they're broke, or even worse off than before because now they have debt. So that's the first thing. And I remember I read a book called The Secrets of the Millionaire Mind by T. Harv Eker. And in that book, halfway through it, he recommends an event that you go to called the Millionaire Mindset Experience or something like that. I immediately paused reading, put a little note card there, went online, signed up for the next event, which is free, by the way, and you all should go. I highly recommend that you go. And then I went, and we went through these exercises, and I educated myself about this subject. And for a lot of people, confronting that is difficult. Like somebody who maybe has a drinking problem. You don't want to go to AA because you feel embarrassed and you don't want to confront this problem. But for you to break through, you're going to have to accept where you are. Okay, so I emptied my cup, went to this event. Of course, they try to sell you stuff, but if you just go to the event without signing up for anything, it will begin the process of rewiring your mind. That was step one. Okay, step two was implementing what I learned from them, which was a strict and simple money management system. So one of the exercises they give you is they give you a breakdown, and I broke this down in I think 2 YouTube videos where I give you the money management system, meaning like 55% for expenses, 10% for education, so on and so forth. I got jars to represent all of them. And every day I would break $100 into $5 bills. I had it ready. And every day for, I think it was a month, I would put that designated portion in each jar, right? And what you're doing is you're programming yourself now to demonstrate to whatever power you believe in the universe that you can, hey, I'm responsible with my money. I can manage it. I also opened up all the bank accounts and started putting that percentage in each bank account from every check that I got, right? Taxes, expenses, education, long-term investment. And I condition myself now to not be so scarce with money, like, oh, I got money, I have to get rid of it, right? It was now, okay, cool. I know money's going to keep coming in and flowing, and I'm going to manage it. Those for sure were two huge breakthroughs for me, right? And following that. Now, as far as investing and creating passive income, it was more of a rewiring of our mind. People fail to realize that we've been conditioned now to want instant gratification in everything. Case in point is your phone. Every time you get a message, Facebook, Instagram, your phone's like ding, 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 and you open it right away and you look. You're being literally conditioned now for instant gratification. So this is another tip. I turned all notifications off on my phone. The only thing that dings is a phone call or certain people that text me. That's it. Okay, that will.
I hope I'm one of them.
Yeah, of course. That will free you guys from everything, and you'll feel liberated. You'll feel conditioned to look at your phone, but that's something that's been created now by this object. Okay. But what I did was I started looking and saying, okay, I'm making money, but what am I doing now beyond just today, this week, this month, right? I started learning from all these top guys that they're planning out 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now. So I started doing that and writing down goals and commitments and saying, okay, in 5 years, I want to have, 5 properties, 5 real estate properties, all worth at least $300,000, right? That's one goal that I had. I want to have at least the end of every year, $50,000 liquid in my expense account that I can go to for emergencies. And I started mapping everything out, not just for the week or the month, but for the year, 2 year, 5 year, 10 year. And I guarantee you a lot of people on here haven't done that, or anybody who's watching the recording, or maybe you've done some of it. The key is complete the puzzle. If you have a puzzle of 1,000 pieces and only 500 are put together, you don't have a full puzzle. Even 999 out of 1,000, it's not complete. Not until you put the 1,000th piece and it's a complete picture, do you now have the finished product, which is where a lot of people lack. Some people are at 1%, some people are at 90%. But until you're at 100 and you have that roadmap laid out, you now are going to be struggling until it's done. Then you know exactly what you're doing and why you're doing it. Okay, it's called reverse engineering. Okay, very simple. As far as the sources that I have, fully passive, I would say the only passive income I have is real estate, right? I have 4 properties that I own outright in Texas, and then I'm part owner of a duplex here in LA that I rent out with a partner of mine. That income is completely passive. All the other streams that I've created are more, I would say, residual than they are passive, because they still require, me making a product or me producing a YouTube video or something like that. One of the good ones I created was Modern Success, which is one of my coaching programs. It's only $97 a month. I think I have 65 members right now. I just started it a few months ago. And that's, again, if you want to talk freedom, like she said, money provides freedom. I lecture for them 1 hour every Sunday and do a Q&A. It's about an hour and 15 minutes. And throughout the week, additional to trainings that I've uploaded and stuff like that, I'll do little short videos, 5, 6 minutes, just giving little tips and little techniques and stuff like that. So, if you extrapolate that over time, when I have 200, 300, 400 members, you guys can do the math on how much money that's going to be for such a little amount of time invested. But ending it here, it goes back to your dedication at the beginning of mastering your craft, right? She knows things and I know things that people are more than willing to pay for, and we'll give them, right? But we put in our time to get to where we're at, and people need to recognize that. You're not going to go to karate one day and then the next day open up your own dojo because you're a grandmaster. It's going to take a lifetime of dedication. Now, the cool part with the internet is you can do it quicker now because that information is accessible from anywhere. But pick something and become an expert at it. That's it.
I love that. So if you were to start all over and start from scratch, let's say you had none of that already built. Yeah. And I know you're also, you're making monthly ad revenue with YouTube. Yeah. Correct? Yeah. 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 Okay. And that's growing and continuing to grow without you doing anything. So what you've said, and I want to clarify this. Once you upload those videos, and I talk about this all the time, you'll love this. When you're uploading YouTube videos, it's like plotting internet real estate. So if you're getting the views and you're continuing to grow and get more and more subscribers equals more and more views, then more and more ads are served, you're getting more and more over time ad revenue built up on that channel. But it's like you do the work once and it continues to pay you. So that's the definition of residual for those of you that are kind of new to this whole world and money management and all that. And I got to be totally honest, I'm not at 100% in my puzzle. You're making me want to go sit down and like, okay, I got to be on Bryan's level. Like, let's see, what do we got to do? Okay. So I just want to be real transparent for people. I haven't done all that. I've done my 2 and 3 year plan, but I haven't done a 10-year plan. And you've motivated me now to go back and do that. So I want to ask, and hopefully some people watching, you're motivated to go do some stuff now with this too, because it's clear that Bryan is just crushing the game in 4 years, going from broke to where he's at now. You just bought a new house. You've got your Lambo. You are literally like just crushing in all aspects of life. So I want to ask you, for those people who are maybe not there yet, and I imagine that's a lot of people watching this stream, what would you say if you had to start all over with nothing built at all? What would you start with? And are there any like starter tips that you would want to share with someone just getting into this world?
Well, if I had to start all over, and I'm glad you said that, because I continuously tell people you could strip everything away from me, and number one, I'm not really attached to what I've gained. I'm more grounded in the sense that I know exactly what I know and what it took to get to where I'm at, so I can easily duplicate it, right? And that's the message I want to start with, because you guys have to understand that, let's say you're in my position, right? You're somebody getting into real estate or some kind of new career where you're at the bottom and you have to claw your way now to the top, or that's what it feels like. You have to understand that there's a few basic principles in anything you do, whether it's online marketing, YouTube, real estate, sales, that you need to grasp onto. So if I was to do it again, I would apply those same principles that I applied. So if we could now rewind to when I started, I learned from all the top guys that, hey, for you to make money in real estate and be successful and start buying property and making a lot of money, you have to get out there and talk to people every day, which is literally what I did. I committed when I started to making 50 new contacts every single day for business, right? I was going door to door, cold calling people like you see in all the movies. I would go out during my lunch period to like malls and talk to people. I was literally like a walking robot talking to people, right? And of course, like anybody else who would be on here, they're like, oh man, talking to strangers, like that's scary. Well, after a while, you get good at it. And what I would say for you to focus on is communication, people skills. That's what they call it in society, is people skills, right? If you can approach, let's say Liz in public comfortably and have a conversation with her, that right there is a skill that very few people on this planet have on a very high level. If you can do that, then your opportunities are limitless. Because when now, 2 years later, I put you in the room with the CEO of that company you really want to meet, if you're totally comfortable about it, you can approach him, know how to do it, talk to him, and actually create a connection, versus being like everybody else and sweating bullets saying, oh man, how do I meet that person, or how do I approach that girl, or whatever it is. So I wrote on the basic principles of talking to people. Through the action of doing that, right, I started slipping, falling, and saying, oh man, okay, well, obviously my approach sucks. I need to take a step back now during my off time and figure out, okay, what's a good opening line to tell people? Well, if they throw this objection at me, what do I say, right? Because what most people will do is the opposite. You'll sit back and analyze and create all these stories in your head instead of getting out there and taking action. So if you're new on YouTube, start posting videos. Go to my channel. My first video is like 10 seconds. The black bars are on the side, and it's like less than 240p quality. And that's literally what it was.
Oh.
Yeah. So if I could change anything from what I did, I would have really embraced social media right from the get-go. It took me a while to understand it, and then probably years to get consistent with it. I would have rode that wave stronger, right? Now I'm doing Instagram lives every day, Facebook lives, trainings, Instagram stories, Snapchats, YouTube video pretty much daily. I would have done that from the start, because it's really not as time consuming as you think. You just have to be strategic with it. I don't spend more than 30 minutes to an hour a day producing social media content, but if you follow me, you would think that I have a fucking camera crew with me. I don't. I just am very strategic. I start my training, hey, we're about to get started, send. Do the training, halfway through it, a little snap. Like, it's very simple, guys. You just have to schedule it down and commit to it. So basically, in a nutshell, my answer is you pick the one thing, let's say it's real estate, you start doing it, and understand that through the action of doing it and making mistakes, you'll know what needs to be adjusted and fixed. And you know how I attracted my mentors, most of them, was through so much action. They were like, dude, who the hell is this kid who's just showing up to the office every day, or making, dude, you're knocking on 100 doors a day, you've been doing it for 2 months? Wow, okay, you know what? Here, I'll help you. It was my action that attracted mentors, not me begging people and emailing them, oh, Liz, please give me your mentor me. Let me like talk to you for 1 hour, please. And then repeating the email over and over. Like I get 100 of those every day, right?
Oh, me too.
Yeah.
It's the worst, right? You just delete, delete, delete.
It's crazy.
Hey, here's a coaching program. Here's an NLP course. Maybe go take that and then try again.
Thing.
I love that. I love that. I was expecting maybe you to say something like, well, I would start focused on, this income stream first, or I would really become a master of real estate. But you said communication, which is way more important and way more fundamental to literally everything that you do.
Yeah.
So whether you're out in the street with someone, whether you are sitting with a client, or like you said, someone that you would like to work with, a mentor or a CEO, wherever you're trying to build, having those communication skills is absolutely vital, not just face to face, but also on camera, also on social media. It's a skill, and it's a skill that you can learn to master. And we're constantly in the practice of mastering our communication. I can definitely say that about myself, and the same with you. And I want to share a little bit of proof in my own life of what you're talking about directly. I do the same thing. So every single person that I talk to, I ask them, what's your vision? What's your goal? Like, to see how can I help support you? Yeah. It's not about me wanting something from you. It's, hey, who are you? What are you excited about? What's your vision? What's your goal? And if there's something that I already know that can help you, I will help you. So there's like a constant connection going on. And what's happening now, you guys, in the transition from me going from fitness expert to now YouTube video marketing coach, is people now see me as video marketing coach, as the YouTube girl. I'll go into a room and they'll be like, hey, I've seen your content. Hey, I want to work with you. They're coming to me. I don't have to go out to them, because I've done enough of and I will continue to do this. And I know you do this too, of giving your value, your expertise, taking what you've mastered in your own, being a student first, and giving it freely to the world. Like, hey, we're going on this journey. We want you to come with us, but we're not going to drag you along the way. And what ends up happening, and I want to highlight this point of what I heard you say, is you pick the one thing that you want to be the master of. You pick that one thing and then become the master of that, and bring people along the journey with you, but don't drag them with you, and don't beg someone to drag you with them either. And I think that one thing is really important. And a lot of people I've seen struggle with that, of like, well, I want to do everything for everyone. Well, guess what? Newsflash, life is short. You don't get to do that. Yeah. And if you try, you're going to be like spinning your wheels forever.
Yeah.
Can you relate to that?
There's a saying I hear that like repulses me. It's, oh, I'm a jack of all trades. I'm like, that to me sounds so average, that you can find people everywhere that are pretty good or average at multiple things, but it's very tough. Like when you hear the stories of that one guy who's super enlightened at the top of the mountain, right? There's that one guy, or, an Anthony Robbins, right? There's probably maybe a handful of people who can share the stage with him and say they're as skilled as he is with the mind and language. That's what you need to strive for, right? It's at that point that now you become invaluable to the marketplace, that your knowledge is now something people will pay for, that your time people will pay for, right? There's so many things associated with that people don't get, right? Or, men and women, like, oh, how do I become more attractive? Master fucking communication, and literally everyone will be drawn to you, or at the very least, the right people will be drawn to you. Because if someone says, I don't care about communication, okay, I don't want that person in my life anyway, whether they're a man or a woman, doesn't matter. So again, that makes you like a magnet. I mean, fuck, I went out like a week ago and to, a restaurant, and I didn't even realize it. I went with a friend, and within like 20 minutes, we had like everybody huddled at our table, and I was like, what the fuck is this? But I realized it's the vibe that you give off. You have everybody laughing. You're so comfortable, and that in itself is attractive. But how do you get there? And I tell people, just get very good at communicating and understanding the basics between man and woman, woman and woman. It's communication. That's really all it is. And if you get out there and you start talking to people, you naturally, right, through the mistakes that you make, you'll learn and you can get better. But understand that everybody's on their phone nowadays, right? How many, for example, and then I'll pass it back to you, Liz, how many people email you or ask you because they're scared to go on camera or social media, of how to get over the fear, or how do I start doing video? I've been thinking about it for a year, but like I just can't stomach watching myself, and all these other issues that pop up when the root of it is just, you need to be comfortable communicating.
Oh, all the time. Basically everyone. Basically everyone that hasn't already done it.
Crazy. It's insane. It's insane. And the stuff that I hear, I'm just like, wow. Like, how is that even a thought in your mind is what I'm thinking,
Yeah, totally. Rohan asks, what about multi-talented people? I'm curious your response on this.
Well, even somebody who's multi-talented, either it's probably branches to the same tree, or there's one that they really are world-class at, right? I'm sure there's some exceptional individuals who do that, but I'm glad he said that, because what you're saying, my friend, is the exception to the rule. It's very rare you find somebody who's world-class in multiple things. Even if you can name 24 people, how many people are on the planet? Billions, right? So there's nothing I would have to say like against that. It would say, great, well, if you're world-class at more than one thing, more power to you, but understand that you are the exception to the rule. How many people can you point to that are world-class, not like, oh, he's good at this and good at this. I mean, world-class, like Tony Robbins or people like that.
Yeah, well, the person that comes to mind is Will Smith right off the bat. Think of Will Smith. He, even though he's multi-talented, he focused on each talent in stages. So like he started off as a comedy actor on a TV show, and then he moved into music for a little while, and he like really focused on that for a while. But then he moved back to like dramatic acting in movies and feature films. So like each season of his life had a different segment of the same talent, but or not the same talent, but the same like you said, tree, different branches of the tree, and he focused on seasons of life mastering each of those crafts. I don't know if he ever fully mastered the music one, I will say. His album was like but he had some bangers in there, like Welcome to Miami. That one went totally global.
Yeah, I still hear it now. It's crazy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, are you in? No, you're in LA.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, are you in Florida? No.
No, maybe one day, but I love LA. I don't think I'll ever move out of here.
Yeah, I don't think you will either. I think you were designed for LA. Okay, cool. So any last minute things you want to add in here, or last minute questions coming from people watching, or anything that you want to impart on people, or where can they find you, stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, if you guys just Google my name, I mean, at Bryan Casella is my handle for all my social media. You'll find me on YouTube. But if I could give you guys just one last nugget, it's going to be embrace your individuality, right? And understand that the powers around us, whatever you want to call it, government or whatever, they want to force you to blend in, and they want to force the silencing of your individual voice or expression or brand, whatever you want to call it. Learn to embrace that, right? And understand that once you do break free from those chains, like me coming out, right, and talking about my view on relationships or whatever it is, you will now have fingers pointed at you and you'll be attacked, but be ready for them, because understand that when you make it past that war, right, and you defeat your opposition, quote, now you have a power, a freedom, a confidence, a comfort through this life that very few people have, right? How many people do you know that are disempowered or feel constrained and tell you, I feel like I'm locked in a cage, right? Being able to now express your individuality, break free from people's opinions and stuff so elementary like that it'll make you feel like you're Neo walking through the Matrix or something like that. As kind of cliche and corny as that sounds, it really is, because then, like, for example, I can walk around to the mall and just look at people. I'm like, man, that person is so trapped. Like, they're not free. I could stop in the middle of the mall and do like a stupid dance move, and I'm not going to feel awkward or, weird about it, right? And I could literally, Liz could be like, hey, do a backflip. And I can't do a backflip, so I'll look like an idiot, but I'll still do it and be like, oh, how was that? I'm not worried about, oh, no, Liz, I can't do it here. There's people watching. Something as simple as that. Can you do that? If not, then you're lacking in the freedom department and your individuality. Recognize that and work towards it, right? Talking to a stranger, can you do that? Or are you like, I can't do that? Oh, then you're not free as a human being, in my opinion. So work on the individuality, and then from there, you'll see more opportunities and the right things come into fruition for you.
I love what you just said. And what I really heard is a distinction between a creator versus a consumer.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. So this life is not for everybody. That's the good news. If you want to continue to be a consumer of information, living a homogenized lifestyle that the government or society or whoever this other has been, that's told you how to live your life, and this actually caring about what people's judgments are of you, you're welcome to do that. And many, many, many millions, if not billions of people do choose that route. But if you're wanting to step out of your shell, share your individual expression, become a master of your craft, a master of your craft, not a jack of all trades, a master of your craft, and really step out onto the stage of the internet, of running your own business, of maybe getting into real estate or working on these things of money management so that you can create and not consume, create your own freedom, create your own lifestyle, create whatever your heart is feeling called to create. Bryan would be a great person to look to. He mentioned a ton. If you're just jumping on now on the live stream, make sure you go back and watch the full video, because he mentioned a ton of his own personal mentors and a couple of the programs, that some of which are free. Millionaire Mindset, I believe you said it was, but go back and watch that. He take notes, write this stuff down and get into the practice of learning from people who've already done what you're trying to do. So if money management is important to you, you want to create financial abundance, we want you to come with us. Hello, this is a call. This is for you. BryanCasella.com. He has tons of courses that can help teach you about all of that stuff. And like he said, at Bryan Casella on all social platforms. Go subscribe to his YouTube. He's almost to 100K. I'm definitely going to be calling you when you hit 100K on YouTube. Because you're going to get one of those silver plaque buttons. Are you ready? Do you have a space on your wall yet?
Absolutely, yeah. I've already set aside a space for it.
You get a silver platinum play button. I'm so excited to see. I expect a picture the second that drops to your doorstep. And Bryan, thank you so much for taking the time out of your very busy schedule. We all appreciate it. I'll speak for everyone here watching. I'm sure that they got a ton of information and wealth out of that. And I know I myself did. So thank you so much for spending your time with us today. And for last but not least, for those of you who are wanting to learn how to master YouTube and video marketing, our next Rank and Bank Masterclass for YouTube starts next Monday. So go to vidfluencepros.com/masterclass. I'll drop the link in the comments below. Bryan, you're going to drop all links and everything of where to find you as well. And we'll be checking back in throughout the day to answer any last minute questions that you guys have. So if you're catching the rebroadcast, make sure you leave those down below and we will be in touch with you. Thank you so much, Bryan, for joining us for this Magic Monday.
One more thing. So everybody watching, Liz is dying to get a ride in my Lambo. So this is what we'll do. If we get at least 30 shares on this live, I'll give her a ride, at least a 15-minute ride.
What? Okay. All right. Okay. Hey, okay, we're going to do that. All right, I'm into it. 30 shares, you guys. Help a sister out. I've been literally asking you for months now. I need an excuse to drive myself up to LA because I would love to experience what I've never been in a Lambo. Has anyone? I will videotape. We will do a Facebook Live if that happens. Thank you for that. We'll see if we can make it happen, y'all. Okay, thank you so much, Bryan. You guys, this is the real deal. This dude is like master over here.
Thanks for having me.
Freaking love you, dude.
Always good.
I'm so inspired by you.
Always good to hang. We'll do it again soon, right?
Yeah, we will. All right, bye, guys.
See ya.